Another day, another Filipino story. European explorers started venturing into the Pacific at the start of the 16th century. Vasco Nes de Balboa led the Spanish westwards as they first witnessed the Pacific Ocean from Panama. Ferdinand Magellan then sailed across the Pacific to the Philippines. Miguel Lopez de Legazpi oversaw Spain's invasion of the Philippines Islands, which began in the middle of the 16th century. The Manila galleon trade began in 1565 as a result of the conquest of the Philippines, sailing from Acapulco first to Cebu and then after 1571 to Manila. As part of the Manila galleon trade between Mexico and its possessions in the East Indies, they arrived as crew on board of the Nuestra Señora de Buena Esperanza, which had sailed from Portuguese Macau. Francisco Gali traveled from the Manila galleon route from 1582 until his death in 1586, first as navigator and then as captain. Gali, the captain of the Manila galleon heading west at that time, received a mission from Archbishop Pedro Moya de Contreras in 1585 to map the Californian coast and steer clear of China. Gali passed away in Manila later that year, leaving the mission in the hands of Pedro de Unamuno. Unamuno had been paid by traders in Acapulco to travel with Gali and purchase goods in China. When he arrived in Macau, Portuguese officials took his 2 galleons, trapping him and his crew in China. When the Real Audiencia of Manila learned of this, they demanded Unamuno's arrest for disobeying their orders to stay away from China. Fortunately for Unamuno, whose disobedience could have resulted in the death penalty, the Nuestra Señora de Buena Esperanza, a fragata, was purchased with money from Franciscans who wanted to return to Mexico. Martin Ignacio de Loyola was one of those Franciscans, and a Japanese boy also boarded the ship for the trip east. The Nuestra Señora set sail from the Far East in mid-July 1587 and made its way across the Pacific Ocean to the east, mostly without incident. The ship suffered damage when its mast cracked at the beginning of September. Initial reconnaissance led to the discovery of Morro Bay, which had resources that could replenish the ship's provision. There were also trees which could be utilized for masts. When the crew saw people on a hill looking at their ship, it was decided that a landing party should go ashore and claim the bay. The Chumas people claimed ownership of the area around the Channel Islands thousands of years ago. On October 18, the initial landing parties came ashore. Filipinos made up the majority of the crew on board these ships. One party consisted of Unamuno and a dozen soldiers. Another party of Luzones natives and a priest joined them. The priest was Father Martin Ignacio de Loyola. The first Filipinos arrived in what is now the continental United States on October 18, 1587 at Morro Bay. 2 of the Filipinos went ahead of the parties, scouting for the locals observed from the ship. The ship's crew encountered the Chumas people while traveling ashore for about 3 days near Morro Bay. When the landing party spotted a group of 9 Chumash, they fled before the landing party could make contact with them. The following morning, 23 Native Americans approached some of the landing party and took their clothing and canteens. The landing party proceeded to stake their claim to the land by erecting a cross atop a hill. As the landing party started to head back to their ship, they were attacked, which led to the death of one Filipino and the injuries of several others. When the natives attempted to capture the priest Loyola, a gun was fired to stop them. The group were able to fend off the attack and hurried back to the ships. The galleon left the following day, October 21st, and continued its voyage to Acapulco. The Nuestra sailed south after leaving Morro Bay. The Nuestra arrived in Acapulco over a month after departing from Morro Bay. In November 1595, there was another recorded Filipino landing in California, when an expedition led by Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo arrived there by ship from central Mexico. Cabrillo captained the Manila galleon San Agustin, which capsized at Point Reyes and became the first European ship to go down off the coast of California. A few days separated the San Agustin from the Santa Ana. The Santa Ana was taken by the privateer Thomas Cavendish after heading eastward at a lower latitude. The Filipino crew had an encounter with a coast Miwok. There was no fatalities reported by the crew following the San Agustin's encounter with the coast Miwok. The San Agustin was later shipwrecked, killing a lot of the crew members. The survivors arrived in Acapulco in a salvage launch. The galleon crew's discovery of Puerto San Lucas was noted in the voyage log. The discovery was forgotten, though, until the California Historical Society published the English translation of the log in 1929. Although the landing was a significant event, Filipinos did not start to settle in what would eventually become a part of the continental United States until the second half of the 18th century. The Filipino-American National Historical Society, FANHS, started making efforts to commemorate the landing in 1992. A monument was erected at Morro Bay on October 21, 1995, in front of the mayor of Morro Bay, to honor the events of 1587. Since 2009, in honor of these occasions, October has been designated as Filipino-American History Month. Even Filipino-Americans frequently forget about the fact that the first Filipinos arrived in Morro Bay 33 years before the events at Plymouth Rock. Coleman Park in California is where the monument is located. After FANHS follow-up efforts, Filipino-American History Month was officially recognized in 2009 by California on a national level through resolutions passed by state and federal legislatures. It takes place every October to commemorate the landing at Morro Bay. I hope you learned something from today's video. Support this channel by subscribing so that we can continue to produce videos that explore the history of the Filipino-Americans. Please click the notification bell if you'd like to be notified when we publish a new video. Thank you and see you all in our next video. Thanks for watching.